Welcome to Mojo the Movies. I'm Eric, and joining me today is Andrew, editor here at WatchMojo. How you doing?
Pretty good.
So you are a big Star Wars fan.
Yep.
We just came back from seeing Solo, a Star Wars story.
I'm gonna be a pilot. Best in the galaxy.
Hey, kid. I'm putting together a crew. You in?
I don't know about you, but I approached this with a little bit of trepidation. I wasn't sure.
I think everybody did, though. I think everybody is kind of like, why does this movie exist, and how am I going to feel about it when I go see it? Because when Disney took over Star Wars and said, we're just going to make Star Wars movies forever, I was like, oh no, we're going to get to a point where I'm like, oh, another freaking Star Wars movie. I'm so tired of these.
Did we get there?
I felt like last night going to bed,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm seeing Star Wars tomorrow morning, and I'm not excited at all.
I had that same feeling, and I wonder if maybe we've gotten to that point. But
Fast.
then I saw this movie, and I also, I have to say, I really think this movie lives or dies by people's ability to buy Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, because, of course, Harrison Ford, how do you beat that performance? And so I was like, I wasn't sure. And then I saw the movie, and I came out of there, and I was like, yeah, I buy it. It might not be my favorite of all the Star Wars movies, but I think he does a pretty good Solo.
What do you think? Well, what do you know?
It took me the entire movie to just accept that I'm watching Han Solo. I mean, 'cause it's not even the first time Star Wars has changed casting. I mean, the original movie cast a different actor for Wedge Antilles between scenes. But,
Right.
and he did a really good job at replicating some of Han Solo or Harrison Ford's like mannerisms, the goofy, loose way he shoots his blaster, the fact that he calls it the Millennium Falcon instead of the Millennium Falcon.
His posture, his
all
swagger.
all that was good, but there was just something about the movie itself, not his performance, that I just kept forgetting that this is Han Solo. I don't know what it was.
Well, let's reel back a bit and look big picture. We can go granular in a second, but I just want to, in general, did this movie feel good to you? Are you, you're a big Star Wars fan. Are you happy with the direction that this movie went?
My expectations were kind of low, and the movie definitely played it really safe. It actually played it safer than I expected it to, and that was really disappointing. But they did give a lot for Star Wars fans to enjoy. We get to see Corellia for the first time in the movies, because we've seen Corellia in the comic books and described in the novels and stuff, but we're like seeing it on the big screen for the first time, it's like, oh cool, this is the Corellia that I, as a Star Wars fan, have always kind of imagined, and I'm excited to be here. So I'm kind of still drinking the Star Wars Kool-Aid,
Right.
I guess. So you have to take anything I say with a bit of a grain of salt, and that they've strategically put in stuff to placate people like me.
Well, that begs the question, who is this movie made for? And we should, by the way, just mention, this is spoiler-free. So, don't worry, we're not going to ruin anything for you. We're going to do a spoiler review later on in the week. But, one of the big questions is this for Star Wars fans, people who are habitual Star Wars watchers, or are they going after a new fan base?
Ultimately, they're going after a new fan base. This movie does more to create its own stuff and reference existing stuff, whereas the previous movies are all built on the existing stuff. So
this is meant to be a
ultimately
standalone, right?
It's meant to be standalone. It's not. It's not going to be, but it's definitely it's a new jumping off point. It's to try to get people who aren't Star Wars fans onto Star Wars, and then they just throw in the little nuggets for people who are Star Wars fans. So ultimately, it's not really a movie for existing fans. It's a movie to get new fans.
How do you think it stacks up to something like Rogue One, which is the other standalone movie?
As a movie, it's better than Rogue One in terms of like how it's paced, and it makes more sense, and most of the characters are a lot better. But as a Star Wars movie, Rogue One is much better.
How so?
So as a Star Wars fan, I prefer Rogue One by like a mile.
Really?
Yeah. Because Rogue One contributes to the Star Wars universe, whereas this movie is ultimately pointless.
Okay, yes, and we talked about that after, and I think that's probably the biggest complaint people are going to have, especially before they go and see it. But without spoiling anything, aren't there certain things that happen here that do explain further, major plot points in subsequent movies? And aren't there, there's some major characters that we see coming back here or coming into play here that we can't talk about? But no, I wouldn't say that this is completely pointless.
Well, okay, it's pointless if you care about like Han Solo, and the movie is called Solo, a Star Wars movie. Right. Look, it's a movie about Han Solo, and all of those little dialogue lines, the Kessel Run, winning the Falcon in a card game. We made a whole movie about all of those little throwaway lines.
That's true.
And that aspect of the movie is pointless. Obviously, they've put in big picture stuff that they're going to continue to build on and expand on their universe. But as a Han Solo movie, it doesn't really bring anything new. And I don't know if it needed to, because I would have been mad if they changed stuff. Like if you didn't win the Falcon from a card game, I would have been mad.
What have you done to my ship?
Your ship? Hey, remember, you lost her to me fair and square.
Well, let's talk about the card game. And specifically Lando. I think everyone's talking about, this is Donald Glover's moment. So how do you think he did as Lando Calrissian?
Really good, but not enough. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't go anywhere with Lando.
He was a little bit goofy, eh? He was, whereas...
Well, they're all goofy.
It's
true, a modern action movie. It's a modern Disney action movie. They're all goofy and have their quips.
Right.
But no, he was, he's a dick for the entire movie, and that's pretty much all he does, and he's really, really good at being a dick.
Everything you've heard about me is true.
And I want to see more of him, but in this movie, they didn't do enough with him. So I was disappointed, not by Donald Glover, but by Lando's presence in this movie.
How about Chewbacca? I felt that Chewbacca really, this is almost Chewbacca's movie, if you think about it.
Yeah. They purposely were like, you know what, Chewbacca always gets the short end of the stick. Even in the new movies, especially The Last Jedi, Chewbacca doesn't really do anything. And so they finally gave Chewbacca like his moment in the spotlight. So if you're a Chewbacca fan, this is your movie.
Right,
this is absolutely your movie if you're a fan of Chewie or droids.
Or droids. And that's the thing, is that I think ultimately this movie, or any Star Wars movie for that matter, really has to give you, as a Star Wars fan, it has to give you a sense of comfort. Like when we're in the Millennium Falcon, I felt comfortable. I'm like, oh, this is familiar. I know this setting. There are always, every Star Wars movie has to have droids with a lot of sass. And there are droids with sass here. And there are space monsters. And so, I do find that they really took all the essential things that make a Star Wars movie Star Wars, and they peppered it throughout the movie.
But it's interesting what you said about the Millennium Falcon being safe, and that does I'm always torn between those little moments where I'm like, oh cool, we're back on the Falcon, and and it looks a bit different, but it's the same, and oh look, it's the little hidey space where they hid in the, but at some point it just gets to be too much, to the point where, like I said, the movie is just too safe. Like it's a good movie, it's an action movie, the action is really, really good and fast-paced and great to watch, but it's just so safe, and you can feel like the elements of the movie, of being a Star Wars movie, all just coming together. We gotta have this, we gotta have this, we gotta have this, and that was really disappointing for me.
I also found the story a bit convoluted. Like, to be honest, at one point, just how all these different characters...
Heard about a job. Big shot gangster putting together crew.
I'm a driver, and I'm a flyer. I waited a long time for a shot like this.
Because essentially, the idea is that don't trust anyone, right? Without giving away any spoilers.
It's a heist movie, everybody's a dick.
Right.
Everybody's mean,
But
everybody's
the way
greedy.
that they arrived at that, I found the story itself a little bit convoluted. So, not to say that it wasn't safe, but just to say that, in fact, it didn't take chances. It didn't take me out of the comfort zone, and so I almost got a little bit kind of, I don't want to say drowsy, but it didn't keep my attention as much as had they taken more chances.
So glad we took this job!
It's kind of weird. It didn't really come together in the way that I think it needed to to become like a very memorable Star Wars movie.
But this is interesting because we came out of there and we were pretty happy about it, and I feel that, you know, we literally just saw it. So I feel in the time since we left the theater to the time that we sat down, there's more of a negative tinge to how you're feeling about the movie.
Well, that always kind of happens to me though. I walk out of a movie and I'm like, that movie was great. And then I either rewatch it or I think about it. I'm like, that movie was okay. I mean, I liked episode 1 coming. I remember walking out of the theater in episode 1 when I was like 13 and being like, this is the best Star Wars movie ever. And then as time went by, I was like, this is an okay Star Wars movie. And now I'm like, this movie blows. So I don't know. I don't think the same is going to happen with Solo. I think I did enjoy it and I do recommend it. But if you're looking for something different or something new, this isn't it. And this definitely, I don't think, is the shot of morphine that the franchise needs.
Well, there's a lot more to say, but I think, you know, anything else would really get into spoiler territory, so I think we should stay away from revealing anything too much. But stay tuned because we will have a spoiler review coming up this week. Final thoughts?
I mean, I think there's just safe, disappointingly safe, but good action.
Yeah, and he does a good job.
He's great. He's very good.
So we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And don't forget to subscribe to Mojo Talks, where we have plenty of other conversations like this. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, you guys. Thank you, you guys. Yeah, we'll see you soon.